How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Emnix Plays Path of Exile Standard League. Standard. We're, we're we're towing the line so hard that we've been sent straight down to Standard. So I wasn't aware of this. I wasn't really keeping track, but Crucible League ended a couple days ago, and I got sent down to Standard. Which is fine, I guess, since I wasn't really touching my inventory. And for those of you who don't know how it works is, at the end of a league, once it's done, right, the season's over, your character gets sent down to the non-league league, which is Standard. The Eternal Realm, you could call it if you were playing Diablo. And, well, for one thing, well, do you want to see how many tabs? This is why I don't play Standard. You want to see how many tabs there are? What am I supposed to do? So, you know, luckily they made this button where you could hide it. In the past, you couldn't even hide this thing. But, I guess we're not going to be playing with items, like from our stash. We weren't doing that anyway, so we'll try and self-craft our stuff. And then we do have an Atlas tree, except we have all the points available. And we can talk about that later. This is like late game stuff. So let's look, here's what we're gonna do, okay? So far we've been testing how this character plays through the campaign. And it plays fine. I don't think we're gonna be able to test too much in maps because I don't know what kind of gear I'll have in maps. And I can't really just pick stuff out of out of my stash because I got like all this legacy stuff. I don't actually know what's rare, what's not rare, and I don't really want to filter through this to try and figure out where my stuff is from Crucible League because I had some items saved up. I can't even find it. I don't even know where it is. So how about this? And honestly, we have 2 days left before the new league starts. So what we'll do is we'll finish the campaign. As far as I'm concerned, at this point in time, it kind of feels like this build's pretty good. Like at least in terms of like campaign, the damage is feeling very, very good. Now maps is a different story, of course. Maps is a different story because it gets progressively harder. Oh my god. And you kind of choose to make it harder as well as you play through the story or as you play through the maps, because you in the Atlas tree, you know, you choose to make it harder in order to get better jobs and stuff. I'll pick up a couple maps and then we'll just run it once we complete the campaign. But let's just complete the campaign and then see where our character, you know, like let's see how difficult it is at the end of the day. Overall, I think we're gonna complete the campaign just fine. In fact, let's try and complete the campaign just this episode. Originally, I said it's probably gonna take us somewhere close to like another hour and a half, which, like, in my opinion, is like 2 episodes worth. But now I'm like, you know what? Let's just rush through this. And we'll kind of do this again once the league starts. We'll go a little bit faster when we do a league start, just because we've kind of already seen what Act 1 to 10 looks like on this character. We literally just did it, right, over the last 10 days or so. And I have a good idea of how I want to play this now. I think one thing I want to do here, for example, with Frostbolt, I think it needs more cast speed. So like I'm using Elemental Focus right now, for example. I think I would benefit a lot more with something like faster casting. So maybe I could try and look for it. But, oh, okay, it's right here. So there's a level 16 faster casting. So I'll just switch that out. I feel like it will feel better. That's the impression I'm getting. I could be wrong. Okay, what was I doing here? cold damage, ailments. I took life here. Okay, I was thinking about going down here for more auras, but I think I changed my mind. I think I should go actually left and grab more power charges. So I'll go this way, grab power charges, and then I'll start getting crit. So maybe let's do that instead. Okay, let's see how it feels with faster casting. Then let's return a couple quests.
See ya.
Okay, this doesn't give me anything. Huh? And then yeah, so for let's see if we can just try and complete the rest of this Act 9, Act 10 today. I'm just gonna rush through it. I'm gonna skip the side quests, and yeah, I think, you know, Act 9, Act 10, not very complete with the way we've done it, like the last few acts. Definitely I rushed it a little bit, but we'll try and go. Obviously we have to go through everything once we play the league, because you don't want to skip some of those quests, especially the ones that actually give you skill points, which is what I'm doing here. And also it's like, it's not like a true run because I didn't do the trials. I had done them already on the previous character, and originally I meant to make this character on solo self-found. Somehow I didn't do it. I guess I wasn't paying too much attention, but like overall the character has good damage, and it looks like sometimes it can be a little squishy, especially against some of these bosses that run really fast, like run up to you. Once the frostbolts gets away from the boss, the damage basically just tapers off, so I do need to keep that in mind. I think I will be playing in a party though, so what that means is, you know, hopefully my friends can make up for my like make up for my inefficiencies. Hopefully. You don't know, maybe we both suck on certain areas, but typically when you are playing with a friend, things do get a little easier. Your clear doesn't necessarily get higher. What's funny is in the party, clear speed is basically based off of whoever has the highest clear speed. So say like I have the most damage in the group, the clear speed basically is like whatever my character's clear speed is, give or take, that's gonna be like the party's clear speed. It goes based off the fastest person. That's what I tend to find. Now maybe it's a little different if everyone's running meta characters, in which case it's like the clear speed might be so fast that, you know, you can't even find your partner, right? You can't even find your party member, so like everybody's doing their own thing. That sometimes happens as well. But usually it's like whoever goes fastest, one person is just like dishing all the damage, and then the other person just kind of running around following. That's typically what happens if there's like a big gap between your builds. If you have similar builds, or if you're even running the same builds, obviously, you know, it doesn't matter. But one thing I will say, and this was something that intimidated me so much for so many years, but if you get a chance to play in a party, and hopefully you enjoy it, but I highly recommend playing as an aura bot, where basically you just stack all the auras. You typically get the person who's more experienced in the game to be the aura bot, because it is a little involved, but there are so many good guides these days on how to make one that it's not too bad. But it's night and day in terms of like how your characters start performing if you have an aura bot, and it's like probably the only character where it actually synergizes in the party. And you know, typically when oh crap, I got stuck there. I forgot about his mechanics. So like I was saying, typically when you play in a party, you're not synergistically like adding onto each other, right? It's just like two opposing forces fighting. You know, like your builds do such different things that you guys don't actually get better. You get slightly better, but not like multiplicatively better. But when you play with an aura bot in a party, it actually feels like you're playing in a party. And I did that last league with a friend, and it was a lot of fun.
But thanks to
You know, I didn't play, well, actually I played a good amount, but overall I want to say I didn't play too much, but I enjoyed my time immensely. Definitely highly recommended. Is this more damage? No? Oh, definitely not. Okay.
And now that I have
hello.
So if you get a chance to play in a party, and if one of you is up for it, give the aura bot a try. And it's pretty game changing, I would say. All right, so we're on. This is basically the Act 9 boss area. And we're still in a 4-link, unfortunately. So, you know, that's one area that hopefully we can improve on. Definitely not by the end of this Act 1 to 10 series, but, you know, on our second character, hopefully by the time we get into maps, we'll have something resembling a 5-link. That would help a lot too. We're gonna have to see. I actually think our Act 1 to 10 clear is gonna be slower once the league starts, and the reason I think that is like I did this without engaging in any of the league mechanics. I feel like, you know, typically I'm the kind of person that would play with the league mechanics, assuming it's fun. And if that's the case, you know, I'm probably gonna take a lot longer to just get through the acts. So we're gonna have to see. But I mean, looking at this character, we're gonna get through 1 to 10 just fine, right? We're already at 9. I actually think we do better against bosses, especially the stationary ones, than some of these like fast-moving mobs that surround us. Running determination and guard skills definitely change things a lot, because for a while we just had no defenses. You know, we were relying on life and resistances, which is fine. It can carry you, especially if you know what you're doing. But if you don't have enough damage, or if you're just kind of extra squishy like me, you need a couple more layers of defenses. So, you know, once we get into maps, I think what we have is, again, not going to be enough. And we're going to have to think of, okay, you know, now that we're at this stage of the game, how do we get even more defenses? And that's sort of, you know, what's fun about Path of Exile, which is like some ARPGs, I feel like the true downfall of ARPGs, or RPGs in general, like loot-based RPGs, is like it sometimes feels like you're getting loot just to keep up with the game. And I don't want to keep ragging on Diablo 4. Another example I can think of is like a lot of shooter RPGs, where like looter shooters, where, you know, as you level up, you get better guns, but then the enemies that you fight get like stronger too, right? They become like bullet sponges. And I was playing not Divinity, the Division. I was playing the Division, and it's like I was picking up basically every few levels. I would pick up pretty much the same gun, like a rifle, except this one just had bigger numbers, and like all my friends are going pogs, bigger gun, like, you know, this gun shoots for more. But I'm like no, but like the enemies also got stronger, so proportionately you're still doing the same amount of damage to these guys. Like, sure, your raw damage numbers are more, and that might be pog, right? But like it's still taking you 20-30 seconds to kill this enemy, right? Or like you get new armor pieces or whatever, but like because they hit harder, you're still getting 3-shot no matter what happens. But and I think that's where like a lot of these RPGs fall off. And I think what Path of Exile does kind of well is, instead of just trying to get gear to keep up, you need to look for like more layers of defense, right? And it's like you're adding on more mechanics instead of just adding on more numbers. That's how it feels like to me anyways. Like initially it's like I can just get away with having life and resistances. And like there is a difference between the two. There's a difference between just trying to get higher numbers and trying to get more things, maybe not even things to do, and maybe not even actively, but it could be passively too, right? Like at first I was just, you know, all you need is life, all you need is resistance. That much is true, like for a good amount of time. But at some point it's like, all right, you need to start adding a defensive aura because you need another layer of defense, right? Like this game, a lot of it is just about layering as many mechanics as you can, like defensively at least. Offensively, it's a little, I mean, it's like partly true, but it's also just like stacking as much damage as you can. And it's like multiplicative, so like, you know, if you can outscale these guys, then you win, right? Alright, so that much is like damage wise, there's still like, there's more and more mechanics that come into play over time, but mostly through support gems. And as you get 5 links and 6 links, it's like, okay, these support gems change your game so much, these keys don't change your game so much. But going back to defenses, right, initially it was life, resistance, and then afterwards it's like, all right, now you need a defensive aura, you need some armor. Okay, what about a guard skill, right? It's automated, it's passive, but it is another layer of defense. And then after that, what do? Okay, maybe the best defense is offense. You know, I'm gonna crit this guy all the time, and in doing so, I'm gonna freeze, you know, the enemies, and once they're frozen, they can't hit me. So there's another layer of defense. Okay, after you play a little bit, what else do I need? Well, flasks, right? Initially, I had 3 health flasks and 1 quicksilver flask just to help me move fast, and then like a mana flask. Did I have like 2 quicksilvers? And then now it's like, okay, I have 1 health flask, but I need like utility flasks that give me defenses. This one gives me evasion, this one gives me armor. Okay, there's another layer. And like, I feel like the game is a lot more interesting because you're scaling the number of mechanics rather just scaling your numbers, like the raw numbers. Does that make sense? Because it frustrates me with a lot of games where I would like to say I enjoy ARPGs, but not exactly, because a lot of these ARPGs I play are like things that are not really traditional ARPGs, for example, right? Like I'm trying to think, like the Division is probably the big one I could think of, but even like Borderlands, right? That's like an ARPG in a way. It's like a looter shooter. And it always felt like Borderlands a little bit less so, because in the Division the guns were literally the same. They were the same name, except it was just like 50 more damage. But even in Borderlands, it felt like I was getting better weapons, but only so I could just like keep up with you know, the enemy scaling as I going through the campaign. And it is the same in Path of Exile, but occasionally your skills start to oh, you know what it is? Your skills, they start to sync up, and they start to synergize. And the more synergies you can add on your character, you know, the better it gets, and it just feels good. There's a certain level of problem solving in this game that doesn't just like equate to like get bigger numbers. And I think is that what it is? Because this game definitely, it tickles my brain a little bit. You know, I'm not a build creator. In fact, I don't think I've made a build. I don't think I've ever truly made a build, at least not one that makes any sense. Right? But oh, did I already do this? But at the same time, it's like you're always running into situations where you have a problem. I don't have enough defenses. I don't have enough damage. I don't have enough clear. How do I solve that? And it doesn't always translate to get... I mean, it does translate to get better gear, but not always. And even when it's like get better gear, it's like get better, like what exactly? Like it's not just like a single number. to get better at? Like get more damage. Like sure, but like where at? Is it on the weapon? Is it through skill gems? Is it through the way my skills synergize? Is it through like some mechanics, right? Like because a lot of the game is about quote unquote like abusing mechanics and then taking it to the extreme. And then you know, and just scaling that until like infinity, right? I do think that's a lot more interesting than other RPGs where it's just like get bigger number, deal more damage, and then like what do you do next? Well, fight enemies. They're bigger sponges. They have more HP and they do more damage. So then you have to get more armor and defenses and do more damage. It's like this endless cycle. And like I don't know. I want to say Monster Hunter, but I feel like Monster Hunter isn't it either, because Monster Hunter hits this other niche where it's just like grindy, like you're grinding for the next, like it's like it's like playing Pokemon, right?
Too much clutter.
You're grinding to get like this next set of items, and that's the game really. You know, I fight monsters, and then those monsters drop stuff, and then I use those monsters to make other stuff. Like that's the game loop, which is fine. But it's this feeling sometimes when I play these RPGs where it's like, I just got a new weapon, and while it made my numbers level scaling, is it level scaling? It's like I got a new weapon, it made my numbers bigger, like my raw numbers bigger, but I don't feel stronger, or I only feel slightly stronger, but you know, defensively, offensively, it's still the same, and it drives me crazy. Destiny's probably another example. In terms of like actual RPGs, I mean Diablo 4, right? All right, we're in Act 10. Again, how many deaths do we have? We did die a few times, 11 times. So
It is farewell.
it does feel like we could be adding more in terms of defenses. The movement skill is a little lacking, actually, and that's one thing that was bothering me a little bit. I'm thinking, if possible, next time around, I might want to go with wand and shield, and that would add a good amount of defensive in terms of more life, more block, more resistances, and then it gives you better movement skills too. You get to use stuff like shield charge, which might be good here. I'm not sure. Like we'll definitely need to test that out. Yeah, I noticed that as we were going through the acts, especially towards the latter half of the acts, you know, these guys were starting to chunk us pretty hard, and maybe I need to balance out my passive skill tree a little bit more and reorder the way I picked up some of these nodes. Definitely it felt like some sort of defense was missing. But I don't know, I'm not going to complain too much because one, we're playing in softcore, and two, this character it's like heavily reliant on freezing things. So if you don't have enough crit chance, if you don't have enough damage and you can't freeze these guys, maybe this is just naturally what would happen as a result. So I can't necessarily, I don't know, is it the build or is it me? It's most likely me, but is this even a build? I'm just like putting points on the skill tree. It's not optimized at all. That's part of the problem too, right? Like I don't want to criticize any of this too much because I'm not following a guide. I don't know if this is the optimal way. And like it's part of the fun. Oh my god. Yeah, getting surrounded and getting stunned is a problem too. I think I need to go solo the Brine King. Is getting permanently stunned gets me killed all the time. So that's something that's probably non-negotiable for a while. Gotta go solo the Brine King, especially since I have like hybrid health, right? Stun chance or stun duration is based off of your life. And because I have like life and energy shield, my health is basically split in two. You know, whereas pure health characters would only focus on life. And then their armor is like is armor or evasion instead of energy shield. And as a result, it's like they're scaling more life probably. Maybe that's it. Definitely, like, I got permanent stun there. I think that's how I died. So at least knowing that, we can address these problems one by one. Okay. We're getting permanently stunned. How do we fix that? Well, for now, let's go solo the Brain King. If I get stunned once, I can get stunned again for like 2 seconds or something, right? Because I couldn't movement skill out of there, which I think it means stun. I could have been frozen, and I wasn't paying attention, but more likely than not, I got stunned. So we'll keep that in mind. So allocating Soul to Brain King should help. Let's see how that feels. Okay, so again, we're going to be skipping some of these side quests and going straight for the main quest, which is basically just killing Katava. There is the option of going for my third lab as well. I would like it. It would be helpful. But I don't think we need it. Now, if we were playing in the league, definitely that's what you should do. I'm currently level 66. I think the Izaro zone is like 65 or 68 or something for the third lab. So like basically right before you go fight Katava, you can probably do the lab. You probably should do the lab at that point in time. And the reason for that is you fight Katava, he's going to lower your resistances again by like 30% to everything. And you know, he lowers your resistance, and then you do the Izaro fight. It kind of sucks. You got to find better gear before doing that fight. Instead, you could, you know, change the order, do the lab first and then do Katava, and then, you know, use the power spike from your ascendancy points to make up for the fact that you lost like a whole bunch of resistances. That's probably the way to go. Except what we're just going to do is we're going to finish campaign, and then we're probably going to call it. We're going to take a break for a day. And then, you know, take a break on Thursday. Friday comes out, and we get right into it. Friday, I don't think I'll be playing at League Start, unfortunately. Going out to a summer barbecue. But hopefully I'll get some time to try out the League Friday night or Saturday night. Which is unfortunate because it's always exciting. It's always exciting to do. Oh my goodness. What got me there? What are my defenses right now? Okay, so I should be using my flasks more then. Definitely not something I've been doing. But yeah, I was saying, you know, it's unfortunate because League Starts are actually super exciting. It's really fun to play during League Start because everybody's starting at the same spot. There is definitely a sense of community, of belonging, you know, where it's like we're all doing the same thing at the same time. All the Path of Exile players are playing this game that I enjoy so much, and we're all starting at you know, ground zero again. The economy is super fresh. You know, there's new mechanics available. Everyone's excited. I'm excited. I'm titillated, in fact. You know? And like, unfortunately, we're gonna be missing that initial bit. It is what it is, though. You know, that's what happens once you just have less time overall, I think. So I'm not gonna complain too much about it. And also, when I think about it, it's like, so what? I can't League Start. A lot of these guys talk about like, well, League Start is important because you make so much money during League Start, right? Like the economy is so good. Everything you sell is just like instantly sold, and it sells for so much. and it really jumpstarts your leveling ability and your purchasing power. But like, that only applies to people who play like get to maps by like day 2. So assuming you take like 11 hours, 12 hours to get to maps, which is probably me, which arguably is very slow. Okay, like, don't get me wrong, that's very slow. One thing I could do is just make that faster. But say that's how long it takes me. I play 2 hours a day. It's gonna take me 6 days. It's gonna take me 6 days to get to maps. It's basically a week, right? Maybe I take a day off here or there because I was tired, or my baby's just had a terrible night and won't sleep, and I can't get any gaming in. That's what would happen. And you compare that against, you know, me from 15 years ago, who literally just sits there and plays 8 hours a day because, you know, I have all the time in the world. And oh my god, yeah, definitely defenses are a problem, huh? Once we get to this point. Okay, gonna need to think of something there. I need to apply another layer of defense somewhere, somehow. I would like to know what's killing me, but it kind of just feels like... It kind of feels like just a bunch of small hits, like I don't have enough armor. And if that's the case, it's pretty easy to solve. Like, one thing I could do is drop the fact that I'm going with 2 4-links. I go 1 4-link, and then the other piece could be, you know, a 2-link or something on my Frostbolt, for example. Or even a 3-link. But something that's like more closer to armor, right? I mean, something with maybe with a couple more red sockets. And then, you know, if I don't need to rely on a 4-link, I could try and look for gear that's maybe a little bit more stat heavy. And I don't mean like attribute stats, but I mean like resistances, defenses, life. You know, whereas right now, like the way I'm picking my gear is like, does it have a 4-link? Okay, I don't care what the stats are on this thing, as long as it has a 4-link, it's king. It's like cash is king. But not in this. Maybe I could drop one of the 4-links, and that'll give me more defenses too. Just a little bit more armor, a little bit more life would help a lot. I think it would go a long way. But this is pretty much all the life we're getting. I could see how this isn't much. You know, you typically expect to have around at least 2,500, maybe, by the time you get to maps. Right now, obviously we're not there. It could be a gear, like the gloves are very bad. Like, these should be replaced. And that's part of the issue. And we're running unique helmet, and this helmet doesn't give too much either. It gives a lot of damage, which is why I don't want to drop it. And our boots are, well, not great, I'll be honest. So yeah, like the gear could be better, I think. Whoa! Okay, that tells me that's definitely an armor problem though. If we're getting one hit by that, ow.
I need more mana.
Yeah. Yeah, defenses are not great at this point. And part of it is like I'm playing very impatiently. Like the mechanics are very bad as well. You know, I really should be trying to dodge these attacks, but I'm just trying to face tank it and kill them as fast as I can. Not really the way you want to play this, right?
Too much
But But I would need to add. I feel like next time around, maybe I would add a shield or something. And then maybe we can go with like Tempest Shield for another defensive option.
I feel
Ban.
I mean, I could get... No, I already have 3 utility flasks. Yeah, I don't know.
Bannon was.
This could help. This could definitely help.
Now that you have.
Life. Yeah, okay.
Remember, we do this for freedom.
Okay, resistances are still alright. They roll blue, 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 green. And this should be more HP at least. Slightly. And a little bit more ES. Like that's fine. And then we get evasion as well. That's nothing to scoff at. Yeah, we don't have that much armor. Even though we're running determination. So that's part of it, right? Like the way we're allocating, it's just not optimal, I think.
go.
So I definitely need to think about gearing a little bit more next time around. I need to be more conscious of it. I feel like the people who are racing would never do what I'm doing, right? Like this is just so unoptimized. But I don't know, it's okay. This is like where I like playing like this, where it's like I run into a problem, I look for ways to solve the problem, I solve it, and I hit the next problem, and I keep it's like an iterative process, and then at the end of the day, you get a character that kind of feels like yours, which is kind of cool, I have to say. I think return projectiles is gonna save this build. Or my projectiles are returning to me. Is it gonna save it? I don't know, man.
When I'm ready, and not before.
You know what's funny though? Now that we're like really rushing, it's like the 40-minute mark, right? We're about to fight the Act 10 boss. So like if you really do decide to just go fast, and one way to go fast is just never go back to town. Okay, if you're gonna go back to town, you gotta hold your breath. And you can't breathe until you're back out. Okay, that'll teach you a lesson. That'll show you. But I mean, we're going a lot faster now. Are we skipping like all kinds of quests, admittedly? And we gotta, we do have to go back for them. But we're definitely gonna be done Act 10 by the end of this episode. Now here's the thing, the build's gonna run just fine on low tier maps. Tier 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it's gonna be fine. Once you get to yellow maps, I bet it's gonna be questionable. Like even something like this is questionable.
I need more mana.
But man, we have some damage we're eating good. And the thing is, these frostbolts, they last so long. It just keeps going. Okay. So part of the reason why we're dying a little bit more, and this is like almost making an excuse, right? But normally when I'm here, I'm like way over leveled. That's my experience at least. Normally when I'm at this point of the game, I'm like level 75. So, you know, with us rushing through like the axe a little bit, like in my eyes, I'm under leveled. In like everybody else's eyes, they're like, actually you're over leveled still. You know, typically you want to be 2 levels below the zone. But I'm like, yeah, I feel kind of weak, and it's like, well, I'm pretty much missing like 6 or 7 skill points. Typically I'm taking more time to farm, so therefore have better gear. You know, gem levels are higher. I typically am stronger, so I'm like, part of me isn't used to this. It feels a little weird. Anyways, here's Katapa. I feel like this might be the easier fight actually, just because he's so stationary. We can just deal a whole bunch of damage to him. Like, look at that, he's getting chunked. And really my concern should be defenses. Like, can I stand still and just like hit people? You know what would help a lot here? If I had a little bit of life leech. Yeah, that would help. Refund this real quick and take spell leech. Energy shield leech. Oh god, don't let me die, don't let me die. Okay, I deserved. But maybe this will help. Obviously don't stand at a degen. That would help too.
I need more mana.
More AoE would be good too, actually. But whatever. Oh! There was too much red on the ground, I didn't see it. I definitely threw a lot of lives at this fight. Actually, just this episode today, I threw a lot of lives away. That's, yeah, I died 7 times since I last checked. It hasn't been that long. So definitely I should have been looking more at my defenses. Ooh. Yeah, damage is fine, defenses are lacking. Good to know. I hope I don't go too deep into defenses like next during the league, where it's like, okay, we have defenses but 0 damage. Oh wow, we got a carcass jack. This would help our build a lot. Okay. And now we are in the epilogue. Okay, so that's Act 1 to 10. I would say overall, the character did okay. Towards the end, we definitely started falling off a little bit. Mostly my fault because I just went pure damage and didn't really think, you know, I was trying to prove a point, like all you need is life and resistance, and it's true only up to a certain point, really. And you could see where like it was starting to fall off. Now I said I was gonna end it right here, but now that we picked up this carcass jack, I'm kind of curious to see how it performs. Like, this is a pretty good drop. Our energy shield goes to 1,000. All of a sudden, we have 3,000 effective HP compared to 1,500. We get more life from this. We get more AoE. We get more damage. Isn't anybody curious? So let's go to our hideout real quick and just run this map right here. I'll just run it blue. And let's take a look. Oh wow, the AoE is huge. I could run Carcass Jack for a while on this build. That's not bad.
When I'm ready and
That's really good. Look at that. It feels really good. If only these quicksilvers would last a little longer, but wait, I have no movement speed. Oh, I have no movement speed. That's why I feel so slow. There's no movement speed on my boots either. Yeah, this feels good. Okay, so maybe that's what I do when I enter maps. I look for something like a Carcass Jack. That's a pretty good piece of armor. That'll probably carry me for a while. Yeah, this feels pretty good. And then only thing I would then need to worry about is just getting some defenses. But this is good clear. Yeah, look at the Ice Nova. I could even just like... I could teleport onto enemies and then just cast Ice Nova without even Frostbolt. Frostbolt's probably the safer option.
I need more mana.
Oh, but this feels great. Okay. I mean, I am gonna cut it right here. This is basically the character that I'm gonna be playing once the league starts. It's gonna be a Frostbolt Ice Nova character, Occultist. You throw Frostbolts out there, and then you cast Ice Nova, and then wherever the Frostbolt is, you get Ice Novas there. Like that. So it's a bit of a ranged AoE attack where you can stay far away. You know, you can throw Frostbolts around corners. Pretty safe as long as you play carefully. And then you just kind of cast Ice Nova and it'll keep casting even if you're not around. It seemed like a pretty cool build, and it seemed even cooler with the fact that you can use the return projectile support gem to have these Frostbolts return to you afterwards. And that was like the real mechanic that I wanted to try out. But overall, this feels pretty good.
When I'm ready and not before.
And there's the map boss. Okay. Yeah, so I mean that was a tier 1 map. Obviously tier 1 maps wouldn't have been a problem. You know, probably at yellows is when you start having issues, but we're so under leveled that I can't even run a yellow map right now. And I guess we'll talk about the mapping system at a later date. There it is, Act 1 to 10. This is going to be our character. Looking at our gear, we just have some wands with spell damage. This one was nothing to write home about. This one was pretty lucky because we managed to get +1 level of all cold spell skill gems, and then some spell damage on top of it. And then we also got this helmet, which was pretty lucky. It gave us power charges. So pretty much it permanently gave us power charges, like maximum power charges. It gives you a power charge whenever you haven't lost power charges recently, and you lose it when you block. Actually, so this is part of the reason why I went dual wield. I don't block. It gives chance to block spell damage, but otherwise I don't block. So for the most part, I kept the power charges all the time. Gloves, just life. It doesn't even have life as resistance. Belt, life resistance. Boots, I would have preferred to have movement speed, but my resistances were so bad. I just picked up any random boots with some resistance and crafted more. The ring, resistance. This ring was pretty lucky. We got some stats on it. We got chance to apply additional curse, so we could actually apply 2 curses. I wasn't thinking about that, but we could have applied the second curse as well. But this one was just 19 to all resistance, and then our amulet, same thing, 20 to all resistance with some stats. That's pretty much it. That's the character. Passive tree, I went because I found this helmet which gives us power charges. Instead of just generically going for spell damage and cold damage, I decided to start taking power charges. So we went out, I started getting cold damage, elemental damage, I started getting life, got some AoE over here, and as I was getting cold damage, I realized, oh, I could go power charges. So I got the aura stuff, which if you can find some aura stuff near your pathing, you should get it, especially for the mana reservation efficiency. And the plan was to get this cluster as well as this cluster down here for more mana reservation efficiency. I got some spell suppression, and then I realized, oh, I could start getting power charges. So I got this power charge cluster, increased damage per charge, +1 to minimum charges, increased damage per charge. I got these 4% increased spell damage per charge. So overall we got +2 to maximum power charges, which brings us to 5. Next time around I might not get Profane Bloom. I might get Void Beacon and then Vile Bastion for defenses. I might go that route next time around and then get Profane Bloom last when I go into maps when I actually need the clear. Maybe I do that next time. There's also the option of going Forbidden Power for power charges, but then I lose out on Frigid Wake, and Frigid Wake is kind of nice. It's like good defensively. Nearby enemies are chilled and they deal reduced, or nearby chilled enemies deal reduced damage. But then Profane Bloom. I think you get one of these. You either get Frigid Wake or you get Vile Bastion. Maybe you don't get Forbidden Power, actually. Maybe you don't get the power charge stuff until you can actually stack. I don't know. Forbidden Power seems good. I'm gonna have trouble with this. But that's a late game consideration. And then yeah, and then later on we'd path to the left, get more power charges. And this becomes like a power charge build where we stack power charges and try to take advantage of that. A lot of that comes from late game items. Unfortunately, I cannot find my items, so I can't even show you what I'm talking about because we're in standard. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. We're gonna have to get into League and then play from there. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this new League. I know people were talking about how things haven't changed much and the meta is stale, but I've played a lot of hours of this game. And the thing is, I'm a one build Andy, right? I build like one character per league. So even though the meta has been changing, or the meta has been stale, as people say, for the last year and a half or whatever, I still have yet to play all the characters I want to play. So there's this big bucket list of characters I want to play that I never get the chance to play, or the meta moved so fast that I never got the chance to play it. And like this is like the perfect situation for me where I can just play everything I want without the worry of like stuff getting nerfed. Now unfortunately I'm not even playing a meta build. I'm just playing some random build that I figured this could be good, this could be fun. You know, typically what would happen is one league I pick a guide and I follow the guide and I play something meta. The next league I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do my own thing, and it sucks. And at the end of the league I'm like, never again, I'm gonna go just follow a guide, and I do that again. And at the end of the guide I'm like, I think I know enough about this game. Okay, I've played this game for like a full 2 hours a day, you know, 3 months, I know what I'm doing. And I make another build and I'm like, it sucks. And it's a vicious cycle. But I guess long story short, I'm excited. I all the stuff, you know, about stale meta, it doesn't bother me. I don't think it's ever bothered me. I guess that's sort of, you know, the point I'm trying to make. I'm looking forward to the league. I hope you guys are too. Let me know what builds you're playing. I'm really curious. Like, if I see some cool builds, maybe I would try to play it in the future leagues. So let me know what you guys have decided on. Really looking forward to it. I hope to see you in game. And yeah, see you on League Start. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, as always, you can leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more updates in the future. Otherwise, keep in touch, guys. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.